Welcome to our podcast, Parenting by the Pint. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, Minivan Mafia. Lauren and I are longtime friends from Chicagoland that love getting together to chat about life, kids, family, and beer.
Each week, we'll feature a brewery and sample at least 2 of their beers.
We'll also discuss a variety of topics ranging from parenting, pop culture, travel, marriage, and just about anything else that comes to mind. Welcome, everybody. Here we go.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
Thanks for joining us again, you guys. We're going to take a little journey to California this time and drink Alesmith Brewing Company from San Diego.
Yeah.
And, talk a little bit about holiday stuff. But before we do that, we're going to open Limeberry Twist, which, I'll be honest, sounds like a malt beverage when you, read the name of it. I'm sort of like...
true.
When I picked it up, I was like, is this a malt beverage? But it says it's a raspberry lime ghost ale. So we're going to assume that means it's, beer. But I've been wrong before.
They're not a seltzer company, so I
geez, thank God.
Yeah, so I feel like refreshing sour, it says. This refreshingly sour and deliciously fruity beer, specifically says beer on the back.
It says beer.
So I'm going to go with
pink.
Beer. Bright flavors of lime and sweetness of raspberry with a pinch of sea salt, which is weird. It's always weird to me when there's salt, but
when there's salt in it.
Yeah.
Remember when we ate that chocolate bar that had licorice and salt in it?
Oh my God, I'll never forget. I literally can't. I'll never be able to get that out of my head.
I know.
Yeah,
I still tell people it tasted like a chocolate bar with spider parts in it. That's how I describe it. Which is not...
That was overly sea salty. This, I don't really taste the sea salt in it, actually. So it does taste like a ghost. It tastes like a beer. We're good. We're not seltzer. We're not malt. I think we're beer. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. This is very beer-like. This is not
a
malt
safe.
beverage or a seltzer. Certainly not.
No,
this is good, though.
No, this is good.
Nice and tart.
Yeah. No, I'm a fan of this. This is not... This is a beer.
Yeah,
I can
actually quite tart, but not surprising being that it's raspberry and lime. A combo like that would definitely be a tartar, sweet, fruity.
Oh, for sure.
Flavor.
Raspberries alone are tart for fruit.
I know.
So
yeah, I had to do a double take because I thought it said strawberry on my can. I was turning it, and then I was like, "Oh, strawberry, really?" And then gave it another turn and realized we got raspberry, and I was like, "Yes, that sounds."
Yes.
More correct.
This is pretty good. It's sour, it's tart, it's a ghost. I mean, it's pretty tasty. Yeah, and I'm happy
very
that
refreshing.
It is.
Yeah,
I
feel like this is a poolside beer, which is kind of sad because we're drinking it in November.
We're starting to get cold, and I mean, California might still be, bordering.
Well, San Diego, I think it's pretty much the same temperature every single day there. I don't really know.
So I mean, in California, it's different than in Chicago. So
I think you can sit at the pool pretty much whenever.
Yeah. Unfortunately for us, the Midwest is
that
now
ship has sailed,
beginning winter, so we are past the poolside beers. However, this would make for an excellent poolside beer. I agree. I'm a fan.
Yeah,
so,
totally. Yeah, we're kind of in that is it fall or is it winter middle ground period where during the day you're like, I don't even need to wear long sleeves. And then you're like, let's get a fire going at night. And you're like, no, it's 30. It's too cold for that.
Yeah, exactly. We're all over the place. It's craziness. Like this morning when I was going outside, I was like, do I wear my winter coat or do I wear a hoodie?
Right.
Because throughout the day, it could go either way. And then it's 62 when I had to run errands.
It's gorgeous now. Yeah.
It's hoodie weather. But by tonight, when the sun goes down at 4:30, it's going to be winter again.
I know, right?
This is not...
4:30.
It is. It gets dark so early.
It's so dark. It's so, it's funny. We went out of town this weekend. We were in Michigan, and we had this whole conversation about going to one of those dark sky sanctuaries. There was one about 45 minutes away from where we were. And we were talking about going on Saturday night, but it wasn't like perfectly clear out. So it kind of was the reason we didn't go, but it was also like 35 degrees on Saturday night where we were, which is way too cold to be just sitting outside.
Way too cold.
I don't care where you're from.
No.
If you're smart, that's too cold to just sit in. It's one thing to be running around or walking through somewhere and
doing
it's cold.
An activity is different. Yeah, but sitting
outside,
it's a totally
different thing to just sit in 30 degrees.
Not doing that.
So we were pretty much like, nah, it's not totally clear, and it's also pretty cold, and and just kind of like, decided not to do it. Although we went to dinner early, and we went to dinner about 5:15, 5:30, and we were driving back from dinner, and so it was probably like 7:00 ish, and I mean it was pitch black. I mean not. And I know that's even late for that. I mean, it probably was pitch black at 6:30.
Like 6:30.
Yeah. But it's just so crazy to think about it being 7 p.m. When we visited northern Michigan a few summers ago, it didn't get dark up there until, it was like 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. We were still waiting for pitch darkness be able to enjoy stargazing. And the other day, it's like, it's 7:30. It's been dark for 2 hours.
Yeah, I know. My kids late since daylight savings, and then we'll get back to Alesmith and whatnot. But the other day, my kids were like, "What time is it?" And it was literally 5:00. And my daughter's like, "It looks like bedtime outside." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. Yeah, sure, it's bedtime." But then in my head, I'm like, "No, because then you're gonna wake up at 4 a.m. So we're not doing that."
Yeah.
But it does look like it's bedtime at 5:30 now, and then I don't want to be productive. That's my other thing. I totally have like the seasonal thing. Like when it's dark, I'm like, nope, I'm just gonna sit on the couch. I don't feel like doing anything productive.
I have that problem really bad. When it does roll to about 7 p.m. where it's been dark for a little while, but I'm like in the evening, like post dinner time or whatever.
Yeah.
I am just like looking at the clock, like, is it bedtime yet? Like last night we got home from the weekend and I was wiped out. I was so tired, and I was just like, how much longer do I have to be awake? I want to go to sleep right now.
Yeah, no, we messaged each other and we're like, it's 9:30, it's bedtime. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
I remember, the original plan was recording yesterday evening, and I messaged you earlier, and I was just like, so maybe a different day. And you were like, is everything all right? And I'm like, yeah, everything's fine. I'm just like super tired.
I feel like I've messaged at least 3 people this week and been like, life is exhausting. And everybody's been like, yes. Like, everybody.
I don't know what it is right now. Normally, you don't really start to feel that way. And this is sort of related. Normally, you're like hardcore into holiday season before you kind of start to feel that.
Before you get the burnt out.
Yeah, where the kids are almost on break and you've kind of started to get a little burnt out with the school routine. And then like, it's dark all the time and it's really cold, and like maybe work is slowing down or speeding up depending on what your what your
this is early for the burnout. This is definitely early.
I'm a little worried that we're mid-November and we're already like, is this almost over?
I know, I am too. All right, let me talk about Alesmith, and then we'll get back to the things that are exhausting. So all right, our ghost here is made in San Diego, California, where it's much nicer out there. This is actually pretty old for a craft brewery. It was actually founded in 1995. So Alesmith has been around for quite a while. It's not the same owners. Skip Virgilio and Ted Newcomb actually started it back in 95. Skip is now with another brewery called Gravity Heights, but he sold Alesmith back in 2002 and went back to the mortgage business for like almost 20 years before getting back into the brewery owning business. They've been highly rated for a very long time. They've got upwards of 18 different Great American Beer Fest medals, a World Beer Cup medal. In 2008, they won Brewer of the Year from Great American Beer Fest. Like, they're well-renowned in a variety of ways. But so the current owner, Peter Zien, actually bought Alesmith in 2002. He, of course, was a home brewer, but prior to home brewing, he graduated from University of San Diego with a poli-sci degree in like the late 80s. He went to law school and then had a epiphany that that's not what he wanted to do with his life.
I know that feeling.
Yep. So then he worked in kind of like finance for a bit, and he started home brewing, and he actually started volunteering at Alesmith back before he even owned the place, and wound up knowing a couple of people that worked there. And when it went up for sale, he was very interested in buying it. So in 2002, he wound up buying it. He actually also is a Grandmaster beer judge by the beer certification. So like he knows his stuff. He even when he was homebrewing, he'd won over 400 different homebrew awards through the various different beers.
How old
and
is this guy? Like 75?
Well, he graduated in 86 from college. So he's
so
he's been around for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's been around for a while, but he's he's done well in the beer industry. So
sure, yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Very much. So they started originally in just a single unit space in San Diego. In 2015, they wound up expanding into a 100,000 square foot facility, which is only 2 blocks from their original place. Fun fact, in 2015, McCullough, actually the brewery out of Copenhagen that had done some collaborations, they took over their old space and made it into a tap room back in 2015. Most of McCullough's U.S. Places are now closed or since closed in the last couple of years. So that one closed last year, actually.
Okay.
But they took over that. So anyways, they went into a bigger space. They're actually on Alesmith Court now. And at the time in 2015, they had opened San Diego's largest tasting room, kid and dog friendly. So not surprising for California. So you'll see that there's an anvil on all these cans. And they, in 2020, created Anvil of Hope. It's their charitable arm of Alesmith. They have a mission to help at-risk youth in the local community. So they do some outreach programs and raise money and things like that. So, but that's, if you look on their website, you can find Anvil of Hope. That's their charity that they started a couple of years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
kind of stays in the same vein as our previous conversation when we talked about charity.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Exactly. So, another fun fact. So in 2019, Cheese Smith was born because Peter decided not only was he was going to homebrew beer back in the day, but he was making his own cheese. So they're actually the only licensed creamery that makes cheese in San Diego County in the back of the brewery. And they have fresh cheese available for sale that restocks every Thursday. So you can want beer and cheese all made in the same building. You can get it at Alesmith.
That's, it's funny because when we went to Italy, we went to a cheese factory where they made Parmigiano Reggiano. I remember walking through the place and thinking to myself, if this was a brewery in America, the FDA would have shut it down by now.
Right. Not because they're just not the same process or
just
rule.
Like, there was just some things that I had some concerns about, and I just was sort of like, wow, for being something that is like so specifically restricted in terms of like where it can be made and how it can be made and who can make it and all this stuff, there sure isn't a lot of oversight when it comes to sanitation.
Yeah, it's a little different there. Different.
So hearing that a brewery was like, let's make cheese, I feel really good about that because I feel like, that's a good combo. They're probably worried about like, don't let the towel touch the floor and then you put it in with the cheese.
Oh, definitely. Well, and Peter had done an interview, which was interesting. He said that they had used some of the grains after they made beer, and they were giving them to dairies to feed their cows, and it's kind of all coming full circle because now they're making cheese. So, like, super cool. I would definitely try beer and cheese. Just goes together perfectly.
That's brilliant. Yeah, that's a brilliant combo. One that we have not yet encountered, which is kind of
very cool.
I feel like this is a business idea that I need to present to somebody.
Right? so that's cool. And then one more fun thing, and then we'll talk about our topic and drink our next beer in a bit. But so one other cool thing that is about Alesmith, they're kind of like the unofficial beer of the San Diego Padres. And I'll explain. So back in 2014, when Tony Gwynn, he's a Hall of Fame Padre, some people refer to him as Mr. Padre. He wanted to make beer, and he collaborated with Alesmith, and they went through and they talked about what, he wanted it to taste like and all that stuff. And they named it 394, which was his high season batting average. For it was record setting at the time. I don't know if that's been passed, but it's pretty awesome. And the beer was actually set to be released 10 days after he passed away in 2014.
Wow.
So they reached out to his daughter and said, what do we do? Do we release this? Do we not? And his daughter was like, no, this was his dream of doing it. You have to release it. You have to keep his memory on. So they actually make it and a variety of different kind of a series of 394 beers, and they've been doing it every year. They also have kind of a museum to Tony Gwynn at the tap room, and they have over 350 different memorabilia items that you can walk through, and it's not a pay thing. It's just whenever the tap room's open, you can walk through and see a bunch of different Padre memorabilia, and they also donate some of the proceeds to Gwynn's nonprofit that also supported underprivileged youth in the San Diego community as well. So very much into community and giving back and those kind of things. So it's a pretty cool brewery overall. Lots of
pretty awesome.
fun things about it. Yeah.
That just kept going. You were like, they make cheese and they give to charity, and they've got this sweet connection to the Padres. That's so awesome. So I was just like, man.
There's lots of cool stuff about this place. I was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah. So definitely. And they're not new. Like I said, they've been around since 95. So they're past their 25-year thing. They went from, I think they were only brewing like 400 barrels a year back in the 90s, and they're up to almost 40,000 barrels of beer now. So like huge growth. And again, it's good beer. They've won a ton of awards and done well, and been able to give back to the community. So overall, this is a really cool brewery to be able to support. So
that's awesome.
There's my spiel about Alesmith.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all of that.
No problem.
I'm so glad that we finally got around to Alesmith. So and this ghost is hitting the spot. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, this honestly right now, it's in the 60s today. I feel like this is a good, it's good for today. It feels warm out with the sun.
Yes,
but
I agree.
I'm enjoying this. So
definitely
I am liking it. So yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about what's exhausting us, and we're really going to talk about the holidays.
Yeah, the prospect of exhaustion.
Yes.
As I like to call it, perhaps.
I wrapped my first Christmas present last night.
Oh my goodness! To be fair, I bought. And I'll get into this when we get to kind of gift ideas, but I bought little bags for all the gifts that my kids want to give to teachers that they want to give gifts to. Yeah. And I seriously contemplated combining those things last night because I had it all together. Like I have the gift and I have
dude, I think I'm gonna give the kid,
so I was like, I can do this right now.
I think I'm going to give my kids' teachers Christmas presents them literally at parent-teacher conferences, which is next week. Like, I'm giving their Christmas presents at Thanksgiving just to get them out of my house.
That's not
cares?
Bad. Yeah.
Like, they don't care when they get them. They're going to have 30 other kids giving them presents throughout December.
Yeah, right.
I'm just going to give them to them now because here's your Amazon gift card and your chocolate and your teacher mug and whatever else I got. Just take it now. Like I don't need it in my basement, and you don't need 25 things coming on the same day. So I think literally that's what I'm doing. Like I have it already, so I might as well just be done with it. So I'm just gonna cross things off my list. Yeah. That's my plan. As soon as I can get rid of them.
Yeah, that could lessen the blow of the last couple weeks of December. So that's not a terrible idea. Maybe I'll do that because it is ready. Yeah, it is totally ready to go. So I did almost start wrapping. I was like talking to you the other day about the idea of this topic, and even though I haven't like put in order or bought more gifts, I've started to develop some more ideas for people. So I feel a little better than I did even a few days ago. Yeah. But I'm way behind where I wanted to be. But before we talk about gifts, let's we're going too fast. let's talk about some holiday plans, and then we'll kind of go back to the gift idea things, because I do have a couple of things that I think are good in general for people. I have a couple things that I've kind of put on my own list for myself that I'm excited about the possibility.
Well, and my daughter told my husband yesterday that we can't talk about Christmas until Thanksgiving is passed because we have to respect
She's one of those.
the Thanksgiving holiday. And I was like, okay, fine, I just won't talk to you about it, but I'm still gonna get stuff wrapped and done.
I know.
But
I'm
she's
sorry.
like, we have to remember Thanksgiving. Where is our blow up turkey? And I'm like, it's in the crawl space. You can go get it. And she's like, oh, I will. And I'm like, okay.
All right, man.
Like it was a threat. Go for it, girl.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So we do have to get through one holiday before we get to the other, contrary to what all of the retail stores would tell you.
I know. Exactly. Yeah, they're already in Christmas mode for the most part.
Oh my God. They've been in Christmas mode. Yeah, my husband has volunteered us to host Thanksgiving this year.
Oh, yes.
So there's that, which I understand to an extent because my mother recently had a mastectomy, so she is in no condition to cook, clean, or do anything. However, I go there today and she's chopping potatoes, and I'm like, you're not supposed to move your arm. The doctor is going to yell at you. And she's like, oh, it's not moving much. And I'm like, how do you cut a potato without moving your arm, you crazy lady?
Yeah,
are you magic?
No.
Anyways. My parents. We should have an episode about how our parents drive us crazy.
Oh, dude. I mean, we can't.
There'd be so much material
do that, but
on
we
that.
can't. Yeah, if we do that, we're going to talk about it every week for all of eternity. Like it's never going to go away.
Yes.
So
anyway,
no, I don't know about that. But
we're hosting Thanksgiving. We ordered. Normal people have turkey. We ordered stone crab to be shipped overnight from Key West. So that's our Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I love that
crab.
though.
And I'm totally cool with it. So my suggestion was actually just to order Chinese food, but I got vetoed. So we're doing other things.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. If it wasn't for my husband, I would probably push really hard for us to just find a nice restaurant that has a Thanksgiving buffet.
Dude, my godparents go to Jack Gibbons every year because you can either get a steak or turkey.
Yes. We did that one year. My brother's family
every year now.
Yeah. My brother's family was out of town visiting my sister-in-law's family in California. And we went to Jack Gibbons. It was my immediate family and my parents. And it was about 50-50. Like most of the people at the table ordered the turkey dinner. And then a couple of us ordered just like steaks or whatever we wanted. Yeah. And like, it's funny because you mentioned like complaining about your parents for an episode. And my mom has become that person that like is never really satisfied at a restaurant.
Oh yeah.
Like this was a few years ago. So this wasn't like more current, but she was just like, your father ate too much of the turkey, and then they didn't give us more turkey until too late, and I was still hungry. I was just like, I don't know. I mean, like my
about that.
feelings on the matter are when you do like a family style type meal, there are times where restaurants seem to kind of short you a little bit on some stuff. And I think you just have them charge you for an extra person and bring extra, or like, you know what I mean? Like part of me is sort of like, hey, there's 4 people eating turkey, bring 5 people's worth and we'll pay for an extra person. Like, I don't mind the extra $35 or whatever.
Not at all. Yeah.
To have enough so that everybody is satisfied. And if it means I have a gallon of stuffing because nobody ate that or whatever, fine. Whatever. Yeah, I like buffet as an idea because that way you just kind of get as much as you want of whatever you want, which is my favorite thing about holiday meals is that if I want to eat just turkey and gravy, then I'll just eat turkey and gravy. But like, so like I like the idea of doing buffet. That's not going to happen this year. My entire family, like my brother's family and my mother are all around. And so I'm sure we're going to do traditional Thanksgiving dinner probably at my brother's house because my husband has to work on Thanksgiving Day because that's necessary.
Might I
Whatever.
add that my husband volunteered us to host, but is working the day before and won't get home until 8:30 on Thanksgiving. So I'm just throwing that out there too. So
We have a lot of that. I get a lot of that with holidays where we're gonna host the holiday, like Christmas Day, for example. Let's say hypothetically I was gonna host Christmas Day, and I think actually this year I'm not going to, but there have been previous years where I have hosted Christmas Day.
Yeah.
My husband works Christmas Eve, and they close at like 7:30. Yeah. And so he gets home in the evening, but it's not like he's getting home early enough to like help me do stuff.
Yeah.
And so then, plus he worked probably every day that week up until that point. So he's like really burned out. And so like I end up doing all of the cleaning and prep. And then on the actual day, usually end up doing the bulk of the cooking, whatever I'm responsible for preparing. Mostly, I'm going to be honest, because I'm a perfectionist and I like things the way I like them. That's a lot of it. So to be fair to my husband, it's not like he's lazy.
Sure.
It's not that. It's that I want to have as much control as possible over as many things as possible. It's sort of like my pickiness. It's all in the same, vein. But also, and I think I've mentioned this before, I do not clean up after meals at my house. I do not clean up. I do not do dishes. I do not put stuff away. I don't do that stuff because I did all the
because
setup.
You've already done all the things.
Yeah,
I get it.
All of the work to get us to the dinner table. So once we're at the dinner table, that is somebody else's job. I don't even. There have been times where I literally not even cleared my own place. I just get up and go pour a scotch and I'm sit down. And I'm just like, you guys, and I just like pointed,
figure this out.
Somebody clean this up. And honestly, like, I don't do that. I do everything else. So I'm just I'm not washing dishes.
If somebody cooks and like cleans and cooks the prep stuff, somebody else usually cleans up after. Like and that's actually for all of our meals in our house. Like we've got a pretty good division of labor, so it works out. But
we're pretty good. Although honestly, I think Mike would probably say that he does a little more after dinner cleanup than I do, even on days where he makes dinner. And he's not totally wrong. Yeah. There are times where like I'll come home from work and he was off and he'll make dinner. And I won't immediately go and start like cleaning everything he used to make dinner. And he'll either jump in before me or kind of be doing it as he's finishing making dinner.
Yeah.
So he would actually, I would think, would probably say that I do a little less cleaning up, even on a normal day. But I think it balances out. I'm not gonna. We don't need to have that conversation. I think it balances out just fine.
It all balances out. Yeah. So that's our Thanksgiving. But then once Thanksgiving's done, I feel like we jump into like Christmas activities, festivities, parties, cookie baking, like
straight away,
immediately, like. Because Brianna and I are going downtown this Sunday after Thanksgiving to do like the Walnut Room and the zoo lights like Christmassy stuff.
Sure.
And then like I feel like every weekend there's something Christmassy going on, either a Christmas party or like an outing or just something. Like there's constantly stuff, and like a lot of it. There's also things that I want to do that we just can't fit in. Like I've never been to the botanical garden to see their lights, and I totally want to do that one year, but haven't done it. Like we've done the zoo ones, but we've never done like the botanical garden, which is supposed to be really pretty.
That's neat.
So maybe one year I'll add it to my list.
Well, and you and I had some conversations about maybe doing a day in the city, doing some activities with the kids that are like a little. Like kind of holiday theme, but really more just like a city day. And I think that would be awesome. I mean, we talked about going to maybe a particular restaurant that's going to have holiday theme. Yeah. I saw somebody post, and I think you said the same thing about that lodge at Fairmont, where they're going to decorate their lobby and they're going to have like fondue and s'mores and
s'mores and it looks table and stuff.
Yeah, and it looks cute and simple and honestly really not that expensive. It's like $25 a person.
Yeah.
Which is
it's about average for everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, considering how expensive a normal meal is. Like, and not to say it's like a big grand dinner worth of food, but probably good enough and it'll be festive. So something like that I think would be really cool. And like I said, you and I had talked about that, so I think that'll probably happen at some point, assuming nobody gets stuck with the plague for too long, which is always a possibility. Yeah. My birthday is mixed in there. So we're probably gonna
that weekend actually.
Yeah, my nephew and I share a birthday. So in past years we've always gone to Fogo de Chão. Last year we went to Morton's. It was really good. Everybody had an awesome time, but I don't think we're gonna make that a regular thing. The kids are like, I don't want to say they're too young for me to spend that kind of money on them, but they're too young for me to spend that kind of money on them.
I understand that.
It's a $75 ribeye. Just not going to buy one for my 12-year-old. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do it.
I agree. That's, not yet.
And and like we worked kind of efficiently between my brother's kids and mine to sort of like split meals. So like, the two 12-year-olds split like a steak, and my youngest had like the chicken dish that my husband had gotten, like the steak and chicken combo sort of thing.
So you're making it
so they like sort of we shared some meals, and they don't have like plate fees and stuff, thankfully, or anything like that. So we tried to be efficient, although we also realized that my father, who was on the close side to passing away, had decided that this was going to be the last hurrah, I think, and ordered like every extra thing possible on the menu. And like I said, I don't think any of us knew that was what was going on at the time, but he was like, I'm going to get a bowl of soup, and I'm going to get a salad, and we're going to get the oysters Rockefeller. And we were all just like, what's happening?
Why are there all these things?
He just kind of ordered a lot of stuff, and we were just sort of like, why is he doing that?
It all makes sense eventually.
It does. And I'm really glad that he tried he had a wonderful time. Everybody had a good meal. It just turned out to be very, very expensive. So the conversation for this birthday is to possibly go to the Fogo de Chão in the city. I always push for that. I always want to go to the one in Chicago, because in my brain, that one's better.
I think it might be, though. I don't know. I haven't been to that one in a while, but I definitely feel like there's a chance that it actually is.
There's a bunch of Fogo de Chãos in the Chicago land area, if you want to call it that, which is what we in the Chicago land area call it. And I've eaten at the 3 in the suburbs a good number of times in the last 10 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And for the most part, they're all pretty even, like in terms of quality and service and stuff like that. I will say that I went to the one in Naperville only about a month or so ago when my friend Rachel visited, and it was actually really, really good. Really good. Like, I was very impressed.
I haven't been to that one since like a long time. Like, it's been a while. Yeah.
So, that kind of skewed my perspective a little. I was sort of like, oh, well, maybe the one in Naperville is still good, because they just opened one in Oak Brook, and we've gone a couple of times, and I thought the service is like not good. Like, not good at all.
That's part of it with those places, is the service. Like,
it is a big part of it.
It is. It's a big part, especially compared to like some other places that you're not constantly interacting with people that are bringing things. Like, I mean, since they're walking around with food and you're kind of flagging people down for it, the time that you spend like waiting on something you've asked for, or just waiting to see something, or waiting for them to come back with something, or all of those things matter a lot more at a place like this than most restaurants. Yeah, agreed.
So, I mean, when you go to Morton's and they take an extra 5 minutes to bring you your second glass of wine, you're probably fine. But if you wait an extra 5 minutes for like every little thing at Fogo's, you're going to be there for 3 hours. And
exactly, because it's
you might not enjoy
part of your meal that you're waiting for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely get that. Well, hopefully your birthday dinners are good. Yeah. My mother-in-law, which I think my husband didn't forget that it was her birthday, but her birthday is the beginning of December, and it's her 70th this year. Boy. And I had to remind him, like, hey, this is a big one. Like, we should probably do something, other than just like go out for pizza, which is what we usually do. So I was like, do we want to invite her brothers? Do we want to do something? And like, I still don't know what we're doing or
Right.
if we're doing something, but
Yeah.
we do need to get on that because it's coming up pretty quickly because it's literally December 1st. Not
Oh
even like
man.
the beginning. It's the beginning. Like,
Wow.
yeah. So we don't have a ton of time to figure out what the plan is. So
Sure.
hopefully they'll coordinate that and figure it out. But yeah, so that's, Thanksgiving starts and then we have birthday and then yeah, you guys have birthdays. So
Yep.
that's the
Yeah.
beginning
And
of our
then
month.
I know. And then we shift over to Christmas Eve plans. I know you and I have talked about this before. I think we've even talked about it on here. We're going to try to do the Feast of Seven Fishes this year on Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
which I think has evolved into just 7 things that come from the sea, not necessarily fish strictly, which I think is
that's
good.
reasonable,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Because we all have like my brother makes like I want to say it's a crawfish. It might be a shrimp dish. I think he's done both, so maybe I'm misremembering which one he makes more often. In like a lemon butter pasta that sounds good, that like maybe the kids would eat if they didn't want to eat the shrimp or whatever, they could eat some pasta. So like we're trying to find some things like that maybe satisfy everyone without necessarily just making like 7 different fish dishes. So I think we're gonna succeed at that. And I'm kind of excited about it, but I'm also sort of like my house is gonna smell like fish for like 2 weeks after that. I don't know, and I'm super sensitive to smell, so we'll see.
Yeah, I
Might
feel
be a
like
one and done.
we haven't done the 7 fishes in a long time, but we inevitably have at least 4 things from the sea no matter what.
Yeah.
Because we always do like baked clams, calamari, shrimp, and like something else. So like
Sure.
and like crab. So we like automatically always have a bunch of seafood on Christmas Eve by default. So adding a couple more, I feel like wouldn't even
would
be
be
that
pretty
hard for
easy
us.
for you.
Like,
I feel like the
we could do
only
that.
I feel like the only requirement we have is we gotta probably make branzino because I think
We
that's
just
like
went to a
automatic.
Yeah, we went to a Greek restaurant on Friday, and one of the guys ordered it was the
Yeah.
special and ordered the branzino, and they, deboned it at the table and whatnot, and
Oh
had
yeah.
the face staring at us, from his
Yes,
plate.
exactly. I mean, we got to add the fear factor in for the kids,
Yes. Yeah.
You got to
No,
have
so
something that
that was
looks at you while you eat it.
agreed. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
so I think branzino is probably required, and we might do these fried dough things that my father used to make that had anchovies in them. Which was he called them bitticheds, which is not a real word, and it's not an Italian word, but that's what they called them.
It's just his word. Okay, got
Bitticheds.
it.
I've Googled it to try to figure out a recipe. I got nothing. But I have looked up like Calabria fried dough with anchovies, and there's something I can't remember the name of it that is not called that at all.
He made up his own name.
But I'm gonna follow that recipe, I think, and
Good
that
plan.
should do it.
Oh.
So that gets us to Christmas.
Yep.
I kind of let's talk about gift ideas a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I have some.
Our kids are all my kids don't like toys anymore.
Yeah.
This is our first year. It's yeah, so we've got my son wants a bunch of like sports jerseys and stuff now. So between like football and lacrosse, predominantly those 2 sports. But yeah, so we're like a lot of clothes. He still likes some of the bigger Lego sets, but like the ones that are like $150.
I know it's tough when you get to that point where they're like $200 and nobody's gonna buy that for him for Christmas.
Exactly. So like that's the thing. So
that's rough.
Like he only not that he only has to, but like he does all the expert level ones. So like he doesn't even bother with the like kid ones. But I'm like, these are all so expensive. So even if I put them on your Christmas list, like who's gonna buy them for you?
I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
So there's that, and then he's got an interesting list. He actually asked for some board games this year. So I was like, okay, we can do that. He wants like clue type games, like murder mystery type things that he's into. So
I got a good suggestion for you. It's called 5 Minute Mystery.
Oh,
It
okay.
is a mystery game that's literally you get 5 minutes to play it.
Oh, okay.
It's really fun. We used to play this game called 5 Minute Dungeon, and it's like a
Okay.
card game, and everybody has a hand. And in
Mm-hmm.
order to like defeat monsters and stuff like that, you have to play symbols that match symbols on the monster card, basically. And you just
Okay.
have to do it. You have 5 minutes to get through the entire pile of monsters and beat the
Okay.
boss. And it's really fun, and it's great because it's really fast.
That's awesome.
And they came
Okay.
out with a variation of it called 5 Minute Mystery, and it's not like the same idea. It's like a completely different concept where
Hmm.
you have five
Okay.
minutes to like study an image, and then
Mm.
you have a time limit to like identify things in it and match things up and
Oh, cool.
find clues and solve the puzzle basically.
Okay.
It's really
I
fun.
wrote it down.
I was gonna
I'm
say
gonna check
five
it
minute
out.
mystery. It's really fun. We got it a
Sweet.
long time ago and only played it like a couple of times right away, but it's a
Hmm.
great like we don't have a lot of time, but we want to play a game, or even just
Yeah.
one or two player. Like it's not don't you don't need 10 people to play it. So like, which is
Cool.
nice
Yeah.
because
Yeah, exactly. I like
hard
the
to
ones that are
play a
more
game that
flexible. Yeah,
yeah,
for
it's hard to
sure.
play a game that requires everyone.
Yeah.
When you gotta
Hmm.
have at least four players to something, you kind of get it's not
Yeah.
impossible. It's
If
just
somebody
harder to
doesn't
play
want to
that
do
game.
it, yeah, agreed. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
so that's kind of what my youngest has like on his list. My daughter is still into like arts and crafts stuff, so she
Oh,
can
that's
get art
cool.
type things, but otherwise she wants purses and jewelry and shopping and
Uh,
dresses and like
Girly girl
nothing.
stuff.
Yeah, and she's not really that girly. So, I mean, but now she's like she's into purses and jewelry and that
Mm,
kind of stuff. And yeah, so her list is also not super exciting. They both have some book series that they want. So
nice.
that's fine. And my daughter has a Kindle, so she can always get like,
Oh, nice.
that stuff. So, but they're like past the like I'm gonna go buy
The
toys
toy
stage.
phase.
Totally past
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
we're not really there either. My youngest is kind of gotten into decorating his room. So he wants
Uh,
Pokemon themed stuff.
okay.
So like he wants like a lamp and a
Mm-hmm.
pillowcase. Like
Yep.
so that's kind of nice because you can just tell people Pokemon decorations, which is what I've
Yeah.
sort of simplified the way that I've handled wish lists for my family. And
Hmm.
rather than just sending like an Amazon wish list, because I use Amazon, I still do, but I'm kind of
Yeah.
shying away from it a little bit. I
Hmm.
created a wish list on a different website called Things to Get Me, and
Yeah.
you can literally just put like we need new kitchen towels. You can just put kitchen towels and somebody could just
Yeah. And they can get
get
them
you a
wherever the
set.
heck they
And
want.
it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, yeah, and they don't have to buy the ones on Amazon. They can get the
Hmm.
8 pack at Costco if they want. And they can,
Sure.
and if you're not particular, if it's not like, oh, I need blue curtains, but they got to match the blue curtains I already have, like if it's
Right.
nothing
Yeah.
like
Then they
that,
can get them from wherever. Yeah.
you can be a little
Blue.
less
Mhm.
particular. Yeah. So I've started
Mhm.
doing that, and I basically just put on his list, Pokemon decorations are cool. He likes that. And then just some ideas,
Nice.
lamps or blankets or whatever. And all of that would be
Yeah.
great. Even wall stickers, which I could make at my job, but they probably sell sets of
Yeah.
them for
They totally
cheap,
sell that stuff.
And
Yeah.
so,
And
like,
yeah, that's an option for someone to get him too. Like my family's
exactly.
always like, "What can we get the kids?" And I'm like, I don't know."
Exactly. My
Like,
my oldest, on the other hand, is just like in a weird spot where like the only thing he really does is play video games, kind of, but he's like playing on a
yeah.
computer now, and
Okay, I
I
will
don't
say
know.
there are some like PlayStation games that my son wants
Yeah,
to. He wants like the new Madden and he wants
yeah,
like sports games he's into now, which is
sure.
new. And then like he was asking my husband about Call of Duty the other day and I was like, I mean, he's 9. Like, this is what we're doing now? Like Fortnite's not exciting enough for
Yeah,
you
maybe too
anymore. You
cartoony for
want
him or
like
whatever.
I think so. I think it's too like, yeah, too cartoony and now he wants like and I was like, crap. And then I'm looking and I'm like, there's like 12 Call of Duties. I don't even
I
understand which
know.
one like I'm supposed to look at because it wasn't anything I was ever into and my husband stopped it's not that he stopped, he just doesn't have time to play video games, so he just hasn't in forever.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't even know where to start with this. And like there's a bunch of games that I'm like, we're at this weird stage with games and movies that we're like, what is and isn't appropriate for the kids?
That's a podcast episode in and of itself, dude, because we had that whole conversation now that my kids like playing on the computer. My husband has his old computer set up for the kids to play on. Okay. And that issue has come up where when you're playing on Steam, which is basically a database for video games on computer, you can set up some restrictions, but if you allow your kids to play games like out in the open world, they're going to interact
opening up
with
that risk.
Adults, with strangers. And there's always that possibility. And I like shot my kids real straight. Like I was like, listen, someday you're going to jump in the chat and this guy is going to be like, hey man, how's it going? And you're going to say, my mom yelled at me because I didn't take a shower. And that guy's going to go, moms suck, don't they? And then he's going to turn you against me.
Or they're going to ask you questions, or they're going to, whatever. It's always going to be weird. Like, I know.
And I was just like,
you never know who they're going to interact with.
And so, there's just like this, like I said, this is a whole episode in itself, but we are definitely reaching the point where we probably need to revisit that conversation, because those interactions and what's appropriate, you're saying, moving forward from a game like Fortnite into other like shooter games.
Yeah,
like, what are you comfortable
like
with?
If you want to play Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty and you want to play online, like it's vastly different. And you're only, my kid's in 4th grade, like, and then my husband and I were talking last night right before we went to bed. We're like, oh well, we've moved on from the Halloween movies. Now we got to like make our Christmas list movies to watch. And of course, Die Hard was the first we thought of, and we were like, it's definitely R-rated. But is it R-rated because of violence and obviously swear words, or is there much like sex in it? And so I'm looking it up, and there's like 6 seconds of boobs.
Yes.
And like
there's
otherwise
like a lady like runs out of the
runs
room
past topless,
because they're like having sex.
Yes.
In an office.
And they get interrupted.
We previewed this movie. Now we let our now 12-year-old watch it last Christmas.
Okay.
He watched Die Hard. So
that's what we were contemplating, because I was like, first of all, my daughter can watch it because she has them. Like, so I mean, but also like the conversation, like at what point we were like, well, at some point we have to have conversations about sex with our children as well. So like, and frankly, swear words don't bother me because they hear them, they know, and they know not to say them. That piece doesn't even faze me at this point.
No.
Like,
well, and even violence, the violence that takes place in Die Hard is far less impactful than violence in PG-13 movies now. Yeah. And agreed. Like, I mean, yes, people die in that movie. But I feel like, for me, I think the thing that I'm on the edge of whether or not I'm comfortable with my kids seeing it is the lead up to like sexual acts. Like how much time are we spending like on that? And only because it's not like we haven't had any conversations, especially with my older child, but it's still very intense. It's still a whole experience that you're kind of exposing your kid to that maybe they haven't had any exposure to. Might be shocking. Yeah. So like I do think conversation probably has to take place. I mean, I will be the first person to tell you that everyone on the planet should watch the show Ted Lasso. But there's a lot of sex in that show.
A lot of sex in that. I
would love for my kids to see Ted Lasso because it's so uplifting and heartwarming and beautiful.
But that's like the one reason that I can't. Like everything else I'm fine with, but that is the only thing holding me back.
So much sex in it. Like I'm just not ready for that.
Yep. Agreed. Yep. Nope. Totally agree. That's literally the reason why. But yeah, so we're in this weird area with gifts and stuff. My oldest, the one who's autistic, like he's still into like little kid stuff, but also like he really enjoys looking at photos like of us, of our family, of places we've been. Like my mom makes a Shutterfly album after most of our like family vacations, and he will sit there and he'll pull those books out and he'll look through them over and over and over. So like I told one of my best friends, like, what do you want? What do the kids want? And I was like, honestly, my oldest would love just a picture book of like all of our camping trips because we go camping with their family twice a year every year. Just get a bunch of pictures of the kids and our families, of him and them, and just make a Shutterfly book. Like he would love that more than any toy of anything. So
awesome.
like, yeah. So
that's really good. How do you feel about people that are like I've had a couple of family members that I'm going to be getting gifts for say to me, I'm saving up for an expensive item. I just want money for Christmas.
I say, let's just not exchange then. Like, I don't even like to me, I'd rather just be like, then don't buy me anything and put that money aside. Because if I'm going to give you money and then you're going to buy me something, like, I feel like we should just not do
broke
this.
even.
Yeah. So let's just get together.
That's a really good point.
And so I propose not exchanging at all with the adults in my side, like my extended family, because I'm like, this is dumb. I don't want to do this. I don't want to buy you a gift card and then you give me a gift card and we just exchange $40. Like, I'd rather just get together and
taking cash out and putting it back in your wallet.
Exactly. Like, let's just enjoy each other's company and spend time together. I don't need us, especially if you don't like, if it's just that, like if I see something and I'm like, oh, so and so will really love this, then I will buy it. But if I'm just buying either like gift cards or money or those things, I've literally said to people like, let's just not exchange then. Like, I'd rather you take that money and put it aside, and you just won't buy me anything, and I won't buy you anything.
That's a really good point. That's an interesting suggestion because you're totally right. Like, I mean, I tried making a suggestion years ago with my brother that rather than having all of the adults exchange gifts, we do that, like, not Secret Santa where you but you pick one person and you get them like one big present rather than getting all of the adults.
We did a grab bag. So we just bought like $40 or $50 was the limit, and you just buy something that's generic, and it can be funny or it can be useful or it can be whatever. And what we did was we played a game. So everybody gets a number, and they're all wrapped in the center of the table, and number one picks a gift, and they unwrap it. And then number two can either steal or pick a new gift from the center. And you go all the way around, and that's just what you wind up with. So it's like an activity and that's a thing, but you're not buying for every single person. So that's what we eventually implemented. And then we haven't gotten together for Christmas with my family in like years at this point. So but so
I get that. Yeah.
But Kara, I went through my list yesterday. I have to buy for 40 people for Christmas.
Oh my goodness. I mean, my list is not smaller this year than in any previous year. I'll say that.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably bigger if you count teachers.
Yes,
because my oldest is in middle school and wants to get presents for every single teacher. So I buy a little, it's just a little thing, but I buy a little thing for like 7 or 8 teachers just for him.
Well, and the twins are like, well, the library teacher and the music teacher and the gym teacher and their teacher and the bus driver, and like they go to both different schools. So that's like 5 people
so many
each.
Bus drivers, yeah.
And then my oldest goes to a different school too, and then he is a teacher and he has an aide, and then he has therapy and he has 5 therapists. So like there's 10 people just for him.
I didn't even think of the therapist.
So I'm like,
to buy for.
So I'm literally like, crap, I have all these people, and that's not even considering, like, I didn't even add in my like actual family to this list. Like,
oh my goodness.
So I probably have more than 40 people to buy for, which is why I start Christmas shopping in July, because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy the therapist
bank account in November.
Right. That's exactly it. Like, if I started now, I wouldn't be able to afford it. So that's why I start early, and I'm like, I'm just gonna buy stuff when I see it on sale, and I think it's something, especially for like teachers, therapists, those kind of things, because I'm like, I can make a little basket, and I'm gonna throw in like a candle and a gift card and a thing of like, chapstick and whatever else. I buy the therapist socks because they often take their shoes off there at the center he goes to. So every year I buy them a set of like wool socks and like make a little basket out of them. So, all right, let's drink this while I continue talking about my millions. Rich chocolate coffee. Okay, Imperial Stout with coffee. All right, let's do this. I could use a pick-me-up at this point.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's chocolatey.
Wow, it is chocolatey.
Kind of maybe toffee or caramel too in there, I feel like.
I think toffee. I think you're hitting on, I think that's right?
It tastes toffee, chocolate, and the coffee isn't overpowering. It definitely has it, but like I taste toffee in this a lot, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. This is pretty good, though.
It is pretty good.
Coffee is on the list, and caramel. I'm reading a description on the can right now, and they're both on the list. So you really nailed it, Lauren.
The toffee definitely jumps out at me, and it's very roasty. So I think maybe that's why the toffee jumps out at me. But like coffee, that roasted malty flavor, but it's got a creamy mouthfeel to it. Like this is it's a good blend of flavors, I feel like. There's a lot going on, but it's like not one thing that's hugely overpowering the other.
Yeah, which makes it very good, because I think any of those flavors, especially if one was amped up, would maybe give almost a bitterness or a syrupy sweet or something like that, and that would make it kind of off-putting. But they balance the flavors really well in this.
They do. Like it's not super, like the coffee isn't overpowering and bitter, that toffee and chocolate, it's just a really well balanced flavors, I think. This is really good. I'm enjoying this quite a bit.
Definitely.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. So so much. Right. So many things to think about.
Yeah. So well, thank goodness we have beer to get us through, right?
Exactly. This is it's like medicinal at this time of year.
I know. I know.
Yes. We'll continue on with our weekly bi-weekly drinking of the medicine that we've got going on here and getting us through the holiday season.
Yes, tune in next time for your bi-monthly dose of therapy, you guys. Hopefully it helps.
I like it. Fantastic.
Get you through.
Well, thank you. This was fun. Yeah. We'll see you again soon.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to the latest musings from Parenting by the Pint.
Be sure to find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to us wherever you find your podcasts.
Have a great week, and cheers to you all.